What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another episode of Player Ratings as we lost 2-0 to Wolverhampton Wanderers at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. And let's get straight into it, and let's start off with Hugo Lloris. Sim gives him a 4, I gave him a 5. And yes, he did have his hand in both of our goals. The first one where he parried it out about, I think it was 2 or 3 times into dangerous positions, which he really should be doing better. The second one was a very sloppy and inaccurate pass to Ben Davies to play Ben Davies into trouble, which we'll get into in the Ben Davies section. But yeah, two bad mistakes from Hugo Lloris did, which cost us 2 goals. But apart from that, after those 2 mistakes, he did kind of grow into the game and got a lot stronger with 2 or 3 really important saves at the end of the day for us. So some good moments and some bad moments in there from Hugo.
Yeah, especially there was one save in the first half from Daniel Podence, which one-handed, brilliant save, stopped it being 3-0. But at the end of the day, when you're a goalkeeper and you have your hand in 2 goals, you have to be marked down for, unfortunately. And despite Hugo making some very good saves, the game was the damage was done after 20 minutes, unfortunately. Especially the first goal for me. 2 really poor parries for me for the first shot and the second shot from Dendoncker, which he should be doing much better with, leading to the first goal and obviously putting Davies under pressure for the second goal. So I think he'll be disappointed with his day's work despite making some good saves to keep us in the game.
Definitely. Let's move over to DAVINSON Sanchez. 3s all round from us, and yet another disaster class from DAVINSON Sanchez. He's really, putting his old performances back in. What can you say? On the ball, looks really shaky and really worrying. There were moments in the game that was just schoolboy defending where he lets the ball overrun and overhits his touch and stuff like that, and losing the ball countless amount of time, like he did against Southampton. Had his hand in the goals as well. The first one where he hits the ball into the back of Bentancur. But yeah, just another awful display from Sanchez, in my opinion.
Yeah, lack of composure again. What we've talked about with Sanchez so often, about how he lacks composure on the ball, lacks quality as well. A few times he let the ball run across his body when a pass was aimed towards him, and his teammates were getting frustrated with him as well. So it wasn't just the fans noticing how bad he was, and that was really, really annoying. And yeah, as you say, he seems to be getting reverting back to his old selves, which we thought he was cutting out these mistakes and these elements, but unfortunately Sanchez is playing very badly at the moment. He needs to back up his ideas.
Cuti Romero, Sim gives him a 5, I gave him a 6. I mean, there were some good moments in there from Romero, which we've been accustomed to see over the last couple of weeks or since he's been back in the side. Stepping up out of defence, aggressive, getting in front of the attacker, which he did do on a number of occasions, but he was left a bit flat-footed for both goals, a bit out of position. But then again, towards the later of the game, he did have probably one of our best efforts of the game on goal, where the keeper was equal to it.
Yeah, I thought second half actually was really aggressive and he did pretty well. I was actually pretty happy with how he performed in the second half. He was getting close to all the attackers and doing some really good tackles, interceptions. First half, though, I felt like for the goals especially, he was just way too late to react. He wasn't great. I mean, he wasn't as bad as the defenders either side of him, but he definitely wasn't at his best defensively in the first half, I thought.
Yeah. Let's move us on to Ben Davies. 4s all round from us, and the old Ben Davies things are starting to creep into his game as well. Obviously, he had his hand in the second goal where he had an awful pass to him from Hugo Lloris, but that still doesn't warrant how Ben Davies reacted to that, because he just played a pass completely into no man's land, went straight back to Wolves, and they came back at us and obviously scored the goal. He's got to be booting that away or finding a Tottenham man, one or the other. But what he did was nowhere near good enough. He moved into left side of a back 4 when SESSENGNON went off injured, and I don't really think he impacted anything going forward apart from the one chance where he played the ball into KULUSEVSKI.
Yeah, and that was with the header, really, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Which just about found him. I thought he was poor throughout. I was really disappointed in the second half when he's playing left back. We need him to get forward and help out the attack, and he just wasn't doing it. He wasn't getting in those positions, which we needed him to. I thought in the back 3, as I said before, for the second goal anyway, such a poor clearance. Has to be getting it out of play or high and wide or down the line. Putting it central like that straight to Dendoncker put us under immediate pressure and cost us the second goal, really. So that was really, really poor. And I don't like him at left back. I don't like him when we go back to a back four and he plays there, because I feel like he's too exposed. He's only good at a left centre back because he's got a defender to the left of him and he's got a defender to the right of him, so he's not so exposed. But when he plays left back, doesn't get forward well, and he's too easily beaten. So that's my feelings on Davies.
Let's move on to Matt Doherty. Sim gives him a 5. I gave him a 3. Started off at right wing back and then moved into a right back after Sessegnon went off after 25 minutes. And to be honest, I don't think he impacted anything at all during that game. I hardly remember seeing him, to be honest, and not too much to note for Matt Doherty. I thought pretty dreadful. Yeah,
I thought in terms of in possession, I thought he was a bit better than some of the other defenders. I thought he was a bit more controlled. He had a bit more ability, not ability, but he was picking some of the right passes. He was making some aggressive passes, although some of them were inaccurate. But at the end of the day, he gets into the final third. There's a serious lack of quality. He struggles to get into the final third. Defensively, I didn't think too much came down his side, to be fair. I think he was all right. But offensively, not enough quality at all.
All right, let's move over to Harry Winks. 3s all round from us. Another player that's reverting back into their old self as to prior when Conte was here. First half was just dreadful from Harry Winks. Every time he was pressured, he lost the ball. Every time he was on the ball, he made a wayward pass. He looked ropey at times in that first half. I mean, he just couldn't get into the game whatsoever in that first half. The Wolves midfield definitely doing a job on him. Second half, he did improve a lot as the space got more for him, as obviously Wolves sat back a bit, being 2-0 up. He made a couple of clever passes in the second half as well, and obviously he had a nice shot that hit the post. But apart from that, I think that he did grow into that game the second half, but I think it was mainly down to maybe Wolves giving him more space as opposed to him actually growing into the game. So that's my take on Winks.
Yeah, I thought first half he was atrocious, absolutely atrocious. I thought he's giving the ball away, but not just giving it away in really bad positions. He was giving it away in the centre of the park. There are times where if he could have taken the ball into his stride and taken it forward, would be in a very promising position. And he miscontrolled the ball, taking his eye off the ball. A couple of times that happened, where he was a very easy ball to control. He just took his eye off, and all of a sudden it goes beyond him and goes to a Wolves player. Yeah. That was really frustrating. Second half, yeah, he did hit the post. He was a bit better, made a few decent switches of play. But unfortunately, as I say, the damage is already done in the first half, and we can't excuse that shocking performance.
Yeah. Let's move over to Rodrigo Bentancur. Sim gives him a 5. I gave him a 6, and definitely one of our better players on the day. You've got to say that. There was that one, obviously, ball that he played into Sonny, which was a lovely daisy cutter along the floor that played Sonny in where Sonny should have done better from. And with Bentancur, look, I think he was getting the ball. He was trying to make stuff happen. He was being aggressive in the middle of the park and got a yellow card to show for that. But obviously he had his hand in the goal as well. So there were more good moments in there than bad moments from Bentancur. But he did play better in the last game.
Yeah, it was a solid debut, I thought. I don't think he was bad. Maybe a 5 is a bit harsh, but I was a bit annoyed with the first goal where he's just standing around. And not the only one, to be honest, but I noticed him because he was quite close to the ball and he's just standing around watching it bobble around the penalty area without getting involved until he sees it fall to Jimenez, and then he thinks, okay, I should probably try and make a tackle. But as you say, great ball to Sonny for through ball to Son for the first goal, for a chance in the first half when he's through 1-on-1. And I thought overall he was again composed. He wasn't losing the ball as badly as Winks was in his dangerous positions, and I thought he competed really well in the centre of the park. But unfortunately, the first half especially, he was a bit outrun. It wasn't until we got Kulu on and he was maybe had a bit of reprieve from being dominated in the centre.
Ryan Sessegnon, Sim gives him a 5, I gave him a 4. I mean, it's pretty harsh to give him any rating, to be honest, seeing as he was only on the pitch for 25 minutes. Very unlucky to go off. The moments he was on the pitch were being completely dominated, and obviously they scored 2 goals in that part. But I don't think it was down to him, and look, he was unlucky to go off, to be honest. In my opinion, I would have probably taken off Davies.
Yeah, probably in hindsight. But I'm thinking maybe he wanted a more defensive, solid option at the back if he's going to go gung-ho, which he kind of did. So, I don't think Sessegnon did too much wrong. I don't think he was good, but I don't think he did too much wrong either in the first 25 minutes. He just had to make a choice. and he chose SESSENGNON, although he wasn't really that involved either. So he'll have to learn from it again. And it's the second time under Conte where he hasn't lasted too long on the pitch, has it? After starting.
Yeah, I mean, there was that sending off from against Vitesse, against MOURA, and then there was obviously this one as well, where he gets hooked off 25 minutes. And he did, when he got sent off, he had to walk around the whole south stand behind the goal, and he got a massive reception and looked very dejected as he was. So good on the Spurs fans for giving him a reception that they did. Because it would have been hard just to, not to give any reaction being 2-0 down as well. It would have been easy to do that, but credit to the Spurs fans for giving them that reception. Let's move on and let's talk about Lucas Moura. 4s all around from us. I mean, he was getting on the ball quite a bit, running at the Wolves defence, but it seemed like he was doing it on his own at most times and wasn't really showing any good link-up play and had little quality to what he was doing, and then ultimately got taken off.
Frustrating for me, Lucas Moura. I didn't think he was good, to be honest. I thought too often or not, he gets the ball, holds onto it too long, doesn't look for a quick pass, and then looks to dribble when the dribble's not on. And a couple of times he did that, lost the ball really frustratingly, and even sometimes ending up fouling the play he's trying to tackle. He wasn't dangerous like he has been in other games. Continues a bad run on form for Lucas, to be honest. And I thought was when he was taken off, we put Kulu on the right, we put Bergwijn on the left, we had Son and Kane up front for a bit, and we looked a lot better when we did that.
Yeah, we definitely did. Let's move over to Harry Kane. 6s all round from us, and look, I think the effort and the desire was clearly there from Harry Kane. He was trying everything he could to get a goal against Wolves or to create a goal against Wolves. At times he was just trying to do stuff on his own because the guys around him weren't really helping him out. I mean, I remember he was getting the ball in the middle of the park and just trying to storm his way in. After he looked a bit frustrated at times. I mean, there was there was good quality shown by Kane. There was also a bit of a lack of quality as well, and that was mainly because the people around him weren't on his same wavelength, to be honest. But he had multiple amount of shots on goal, trying to make stuff happen, but wasn't to be.
Yeah, he only really had one outstanding chance, didn't he, throughout the game, which was he was through on goal on the left-hand side on his left foot. But even him being on goal didn't seem convincing that he was going to score. I don't know what it was about it. He just didn't seem convinced. And that was a theme throughout the game for a lot of his efforts. A lot of decent opportunities, headers, shots in and around the penalty area, but nothing really testing Jose Sa. None of the efforts really believing like he's definitely going to score this. And I don't know. I don't think it's confidence or what it is, but I think maybe Wolves just make it as difficult as possible for him. And I think he linked up fairly well with Son during the game and created many opportunities and was getting on the end of things and was trying his best. But it wasn't to be. I just don't want to see him on free kicks anymore.
Oh, tell me about it.
Because he took a couple, didn't he? And he just, no, not for me.
And there was even at one stage where he left the free kick. I can't remember. I think Sonny took one and just hit it straight into the wall.
Yeah, straight into the wall, yeah.
I mean, we don't have a set piece taker. That's the problem. But let's move on to HEUNG-MIN Son, the last of the starting 11. Sim gives him a 6. I gave him a 5. Obviously, there was that chance that we were talking about before where Bentancur plays him in, and he should really be doing better. Seemed like maybe a bit of lack of confidence.
Could even laid off for Kane as well.
Yeah, that he had a few options there and just didn't. I think maybe of a lack of confidence with Sonny at the moment. There was another chance where he did set up Harry Kane as well, which obviously didn't result into a goal. But in terms of Sonny, I mean, again, with Sonny, I mean, you could see he was trying so hard. The energy levels were there. But again, I think the striking players were just way too isolated yesterday. And I think that was a big problem for us.
Yeah, I think he actually tried really hard, Sonny, and as soon as Kulu came on, he actually came a lot more alive, despite he had that one chance where Bentancur plays him through. But then after that, he was a bit quiet. Once he moved to the left, I actually thought he was giving Semedo a lot of trouble on the left-hand side. He was whipping some really good crosses in. He was getting in behind a few times. He was using that burst of pace. It was hard to deal with, but I felt like a few times either there was a lack of end product at the end of it or he didn't have much help either. And both things were a big problem. Didn't get enough good quality shots off, which we know Son is capable of as well, which marked him down for. But I thought he tried really hard, and on another day could have had a goal or an assist, but unfortunately it wasn't his day yesterday.
All right, let's move over to the substitutes. First one is DEJAN KULUSEVSKI. Sim gives him a 6. I gave him a 5. And we were a lot more creative when he came on. He was getting in the ball. He was getting the ball in central positions and trying to make stuff happen. You really saw the vision that he can bring to the team. Obviously, had a chance as well, which just went wide, which I thought was a really good effort from Kulu. So I was impressed with him actually when he came on, to be honest.
Yeah, and he was picking up some really nice pockets of space just behind the strikers, playing some good through balls and being creative. Unfortunately, he came up against a very stubborn Wolves back line, which were doing everything they can to defend their goal, and they were defending brilliantly, I have to say. But yeah, I think Kulu made a bit of an impact. I think we improved when he came on in possession. And I think it was decent. He just needs to be a bit more decisive, especially when he moved out wide to the right. A few times he was cutting inside on his left foot and looking for crosses, and he didn't shoot once. I don't think, I can't, except for that chance on the edge of the area. But a few times he was looking for crosses in swinging, and they kept getting blocked, and it was very frustrating.
Yeah,
so
I felt like
decisive.
I felt like he looked a lot more better centrally than he did out wide.
I agree. And yeah, that's where he nearly scored from.
All right, the last substitute we're going to talk about is Steven Bergwijn. 5s all round from us. I mean, not much to note of him, but the only thing I'm going to say is that when he came on, he did add a bit more energy to the front line, but with little quality.
Yeah, he was on the left-hand side. He kind of was cutting inside a lot. He was doing some good dribbles without really hurting the Wolves back line. I think he added a bit of energy to the front line, but unfortunately, there was a bit of I think he was trying little intricate passes into the box, some 1-2s, but it wasn't really coming off for him. So I'm glad he was trying, but a bit of quality wasn't really there.
Yeah, and let's talk about Antonio Conte now. 5s all round from us from Conte. But I'm struggling to assess Conte in this one, to be honest, because I really don't think that it's him that we should be marking down too much. Again, like we were saying after the Southampton game, he can't really account for all these issues happening on the pitch. You know, DAVINSON, SANCHEZ, HUGO LLORIS, Ben Davies, all these kind of individual errors that we saw yesterday on the pitch. So, I mean, yes, I've given him a 5, and that's purely because we've lost 2-0 at home, and maybe he did the wrong choice in taking off Ryan Sessegnon instead of Ben Davies and starting Matt Doherty instead of Emerson. But it's all by the by, because Emerson's been terrible as well. So, I mean, it's hard to mark Conte down. In terms of the formation, yeah, people are saying that maybe this formation isn't suited to us. But at the end of the day, he's the one that changed it after 25 minutes after going 2-0 down, and he changed it in a positive way, that's for sure. But ultimately, the damage was done. So in hindsight, what formation would you play? I don't really know, but he seems to keeps persisting with this 3-4-3 formation. Is it the right formation for us? I'm not too sure about that, but I guess that's the only thing I can mark him down on.
I think just different games bring up different problems, and I think this game, the problem 3-4-3 was a problem. In other games, it won't be a problem. I think in the first 20 minutes, it was definitely, as much as individuals were absolutely horrendous, that's for sure. And Lloris made bad mistakes, and the defenders were all over the place. Tactically, we were also outdone, and I think Neves was running the show. We couldn't get close to them in central midfield, and they were dominating. They had 78% possession. That's all you need to know. Wolves are not a team with that much possession, and for them to have 78% possession and being 2-0 up after 25 minutes, tactically we were outdone. We changed it positively and early, and I give credit for Conte for that. And I got to say as well, we created many situations and many chances to get back in the game, and unfortunately we weren't clinical enough. But I'm glad that we were able to create some chances against such a defensively strong team like Wolves. And I think we did a couple of times open them up, especially on the hour mark. I remember there was a few times we really started to open them up, but we weren't taking advantage of it. And I think the structure in the second half was a lot better. I think we were a lot more in the game, but unfortunately, Conte can't put it in the net for them. They need to do it themselves, and they weren't able to do it. So I think he has to get marked down for the first 25 minutes, because I think that's down on him. But the rest of the game, I think he did his best.
What do you make out of his comments saying that this game was the best game since he's been here?
He didn't say that. He said the performance was one of the best performances since he's come here. Yeah, I don't know if he's trying to send a message. I don't think it was as horrendous as people. I think we played better in a weird way. We played better in this game than we did against Southampton in a weird way. Even though we created more chances against Southampton, I think we probably conceded a lot more chances against Southampton as well. And I think we had a lot more control in this game than we did in the Southampton game in a weird way. So maybe that's what he's looking at. But I think it's a bit too simplistic to say we dominated and we had lots of chances when Wolves were already 2-0 up. And again, they're always going to be a team where they're going to try and defend their lead and let you have the ball. And that's where they're at their best, when they let the opposition have the ball, even though they had a lot of the ball in the first 20 minutes. So it's a difficult one to analyse in that aspect. But I think when he's looking at it like we played against a very solid defensive team like Wolves and did create many. We did open them up a few times and just didn't take advantage of it. Although we didn't really test Sarr, so he's got to look at that. But I think we maybe gave Wolves a bit of trouble than they've had recently. We could argue that's it, really. I don't know.
Yeah. All right, that is our player ratings. I want to know your comments on our ratings in the comment section below. I want to know your ratings as well, and I want to know your comments as well on those Antonio Conte comments that we were just talking about. So thanks everyone for joining us today. Like, subscribe and comment, and as always, come on you Spurs.